WKQ-FM, Graham, Breckenridge, Q94.7.
Travis is a sports encyclopedia with a mind like a scientist and an arm like a cannon. Rick is a former Mime, Golden Voice Broadcasting psycho. And Joe is a free-willing wild card with zero sports knowledge to speak of. Together, they make the crew of Offsides. Now on Q94.7. Brought to you by The Oil Pit, D&J's Polaris, Womack Construction, and Texoma Foam Insulation Services.
All right, good morning again. Welcome to the This will be the sixth edition.
Sixth edition.
The sixth?
Fifth.
It's the fifth edition,
Fifth
Joe?
edition.
Are we the fifth or the sixth? We're the fifth. Okay. Chill
Take it
out,
easy,
Joe.
man.
I thought since we were 6-0, this is the sixth edition.
Grouchy over here.
I thought this was the sixth since we're 6-0. Were you wrong? Oh, Joe was wrong. Wow, what do you know? All right, it's time to get this thing rolling on the sixth edition of
Give him a break.
Offsides.
Last night was his big night.
I know.
So.
I feel bad about the whole situation, but it's okay. Hey, you know what? It's Rick, Travis, and Joe with you, bringing you Offsides this morning on it's a little chilly out today, guys. Things changed some.
I know it feels fantastic, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's about, what would you say, 60 degrees out there?
At least.
58. Okay, sorry, Joe. I was 2 degrees off, so very nice.
Yeah, and it's finally got a little bit cooler outside, and I tell you what, we're having a good time this morning.
We had a grand time here.
We had a good time last night. I mean, little Graham Steer football last night, taking care of business against Bridgeport. And, it's funny, it's talking to the boys out at the bonfire, talking to them up at the gym yesterday, and they said they were going to pitch a shutout last night.
And look what they did.
And
they
look what they did.
Shutout. Amazing.
I mean, they did. They brought the goose egg last night.
There you go, kids. You put your mind to something, and you go out and do it.
See, it's like when my mom used to tell me all the time, if I would just apply myself, I would apply myself and listen to what adults say, then I could do anything I wanted to do. Well, that's exactly what the Steers did last night. The defense went out and applied itself and put a stop to Bridgeport. Bridgeport, we talked about it. Reality is not a real good team. But they had a few little sparks here and there, trying to run out of that different formation and put a few yards on last night, but they didn't get a lot.
No, they didn't. They got about 103 total yards of offense and about 68 rushing yards, about 35 passing yards. It was not a great day for the Bridgeport Bulls, but I think that's kind of been par for the course for them this season, is they just don't have a very good team.
No, they just got some problem. But one thing we saw, they have a lot of size but not much speed.
No, they really don't have a lot of speed. And, a lot of those big guys weren't very skilled. They didn't do a really great job as far as busting up a hole. They might have had a lot of size. They didn't have a lot of strength. So
no, I mean our defensive line was pretty much blowing through them constantly. It didn't matter who was in at defensive line.
Sure, I mean a plethora of guys getting through and getting TFLs, as we call them, tackles for loss. It was just another great win from the Graham Steers, and it was really two programs in two completely opposite places. The Graham Steers kind of at one of their peaks as far as how well they're playing as a team and, the talent that they put on the field. In Bridgeport, completely the opposite. Not playing well as a team, don't have a lot of talent, and therefore not winning a lot of games.
No, it's they're having a hard time this year. And, with the non-district season being over with, outside of Wiley, Steers didn't have any challenges.
No, and, with a few calls to go a different way, the Wiley game could have very easily
been worse.
Been another blowout.
Okay, this we'll get in more in the nuts and bolts of the game in a bit, but this brings me to a point. I've been looking at a lot of the scores of a lot of the teams that are out there. Have we got to the point in high school football where we have nothing but haves and have-nots anymore? I mean, as we got to the point where we just got a lot of teams out there that are really falling hard times due, and this is what I feel. I mean, it's my opinion. You can take it wherever it's worth. I think the economy has gotten to the point where a lot of people in the countries, the smaller towns, like the Mineral Wellses and different ones like that people are having to move toward the bigger cities to find jobs.
Okay.
And because of that, a lot of the kids are being pulled out and going to these bigger cities, stuff like that, where a lot of the smaller towns are suffering. I mean, we see this, a lot of the towns we go to, other than retail, what jobs are out there?
Well, that's a good theory, except for the fact that, Mineral Wells has about 1,000 kids enrolled. Springtown has about 1,000 kids enrolled. And these are two teams that we've seen and that we have pretty much manhandled. I think, if you're wondering, are the Steers that good or are these other teams that bad? And it's kind of a combination of both. We really don't know how good these Steers are. And I was really looking forward to the Vernon game as being kind of that measuring stick.
Right.
But then after I saw the score from Gainesville whooping Vernon last night,
right.
And then, really Springtown hung in there with Gainesville for a half to three quarters. So it really makes you wonder, how big of a test will Vernon be? Not to say that the guys don't need to be prepared, but it just makes you wonder if the Steers will see a decent team before the playoffs come.
I don't know the circumstances behind last night's game in Vernon. I don't know if fumbles or whatever, interceptions, whatever happened, but for Gainesville to go in and take a team that Vernon's been hanging 40 points on everybody and hold them to 18, whenever Vernon's running game has just been destroying everybody, keeping the ball, keeping the offenses off field, stuff like that, you got to wonder. You got to wonder. And I was thinking about this last night on the way home. I was thinking, wow, of all the years I have called Graham Steer football, I mean, this is a long time. I mean, I have never, ever seen a team like Graham's got now that is just blowing the doors off everybody. I have never seen a team like this.
No, even in 2009 when you had the team make it to the state championship, that team met a lot of good teams on the district and pre-district schedule. It was Bridgeport played them tough, I think, in two games, right?
Right.
And then, of course, you had Brownwood.
Right.
I think, didn't they take a loss to Brownwood?
Yeah, they lost to Brownwood on extra point.
Sure. And so, even that season, which is, heralded as, the best Steers team that we've ever seen.
It's the winningest team that it's ever been.
Absolutely. And well-deserved, too. I don't want to discredit them. But I guess they just had a tougher schedule because, this schedule has been so weak this year for the Steers, and they are a very good team. So the combination of those two things really makes it tough to gauge what to make of this group.
Yeah, I mean, it's no. We thought Hershey was going to be. We thought Hershey was going to be, one of those teams. We saw them come out of the gate. Just they got schooled a couple of times, or they've lost. Vernon now losing, and I tell you what. Vernon losing the week before Graham plays is not a good thing either way because, it exposed a lot of stuff on Vernon's side because our guys were there watching that.
Sure.
It exposed a lot of stuff. And then on the other side of the coin, Vernon's going to be a little bit more hungry going into that game.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what to expect. I'm unfortunately don't really know what happened in that game. Like you said, was it fumbles? Was it, turnovers of some sort or another? What happened to make them basically get mauled by Gainesville? And I'm sure we'll find out as the week goes on. But right now we're kind of shaking our heads wondering, because Gainesville, this isn't their best team. They are down. So, yes, looking forward to hearing the story on that game. But, Hershey's right where we want them to be. They're good enough to beat Iowa Park. And that's what we want, Burke Burnett comes out, gets a win last night. I forget the name of the team they played.
Crum.
Yeah, that's right. They got a big win over Crum. And I know we need to get back to the Steers, but just going through the district, that they're Burke Burnett's kind of getting right where we want to be because we need them to beat Iowa Park. So all things aside, it's looking good for. Looking good for the Steers district-wide.
We're going to take a break, hear from a couple of our sponsors, come back, and we're going to talk about pinning your hopes on a big game. So stick around, stay tuned. Don't you go away to listen to Offsides here on Q94.7.
It's factory authorized clearance spots at D&J's Polaris. Now's your chance to save up to $1,000 and receive 2.99% financing through September 30th. Save on Polaris Ranger, the absolute best side-by-side utility vehicles in the industry, or the Polaris Sportsman ATV. It's all waiting for you at D&J's Polaris, Southview at Elm and Graham. Now with up to $1,000 savings and financing as low as 2.99. ATVs and side-by-side vehicles can be hazardous to operate. Polaris adult models for ages 16 and over. Always wear a helmet and be sure to take a training course. Polaris ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are not intended for on-road use. Financing with approved credit.
Maximize your greatest investment with the best insulation and roofing products available. Texoma Foam Insulation Services offers these benefits of ThermoSeal insulation. Reduce your energy bills. Enjoy cleaner and healthier indoor air. Improve your home's value and enjoy consistent temperatures. To discover more from ThermoSeal Insulation of the Future, call Texoma Foam Insulation Services today at 940-549-3626 or visit their website at texomafoam.com.
Now, back to Offsides with Travis, Rick, and Joe on Q94.7.
All right, back at Offsides here on your League at the Leader, Q94.7. We're going to get those statewide scores coming up here in just a bit. Let you know what's happened there. But pinning your season on a big game.
Yeah.
Vernon has made no bones about it. They have targeted this next week's game as their Super Bowl, as their Christmas, as everything hinges on this game coming up on Friday. Vernon has sent scouts to every single Steer game since the scrimmage.
Yeah.
There has been somebody from Vernon at every single Graham game since the scrimmage.
Oh, yeah.
Normally that doesn't happen. That usually happens when you send them like the week or two before. Mm-hmm. You don't really scout a team for 6 weeks. Vernon has done that. They are putting all their eggs in one basket here. Is that a real smart thing to do?
Well, I think it's realistic. I don't know that Vernon will have a lot of trouble with any of the other district games. And so if before the playoffs, district is really all that matters, then, preparing for the one game that you feel like you have a chance to lose is, I think, kind of a smart move on their part. Who are they going? Are they going to send people to Burke Burnett every game?
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is, let's say with Graham's offense and the way the defense is playing right now, you're not really. I guess you're not really telling the kids, but you're kind of putting in the back of their mind that this game is the game we are really playing for.
Sure.
We're playing every week.
And they're going to lose.
To get ready. Well, yeah, and get ready for this game. But what happens, let's say Graham comes out and does a Springtown on them and scores 21 points in 2 minutes. What does that do for a psyche of a team that everything that they have worked for all year long, man, it's falling apart?
I don't know that it's wise, especially with kids, to put all of your eggs in one basket as far as the game goes. But I think it is wise to be realistic and say, what is our biggest hurdle this season and what do we need to be most prepared for? Vernon's going to make the playoffs. And so, regardless of what they want to say about the regular season, that's going to be their most important games. And so you want your team to be ready for the playoffs. And I don't know.
Do coaches I always know there's a language called coach speak.
Sure.
What the coach says, but what does he really mean? Mm-hmm. When a coach says, we are only taking one game at a time, we are not looking forward to next week's game. Do you really believe that?
No. I believe that they're trying to make sure that the players only look forward to one game, the game in front of them. I think they probably only watch most of the film they watch is for the upcoming game as far as coaches go, but I find it hard to believe that they're not peeking at some Vernon film on Huddle, and just checking that out and seeing what they're up to. I would think that they've already kind of looked at that a little bit.
I'm sure they have, but
talked
that
about
one,
it,
that one ought to be an interesting game to say the least, because you've got an offense in Vernon who is running the ball very, very well. You got a Steer defense is stopping the ball very, very well. But, last year, what was it? I think the young man's name is Valverde. We had, the Steers had a little bit of trouble with. They've got a two-headed monster at running back, and the Steers are going to have to deal with that.
Well, here's kind of a good question. You bring up that Vernon's been scouting them since scrimmage. If you're Vernon and you've been scouting Graham this long, what do you think they're telling their players and their coaches, those scouts are, as maybe a way to attack Graham to where they feel like they're going to have a really good chance to beat us? Because if they're putting all their eggs in one basket and they spend so much time scouting, what are they telling them to say, hey, try this, try that? What are the try thises and try that's to try to come out and beat Graham?
Well, one thing I have noticed about the Vernon team, looking at their games, I went back and looked at a few of them, their defense is okay. It's not great. They got an okay defense. For Vernon to win, Vernon's got to keep their offense on the field. For Vernon to win, they have got to keep ball control on the field and keep Ben Davis and the guys off the field.
So how big of an advantage do you think we had last night when you saw the Bulls run in there, kind of third quarter, fourth quarter, run up the middle, run around the side? I think they did us a favor last night doing that because it kind of prepped us a little bit for Vernon and made us, respect the run a little bit more. They kind of pretty much abandoned the pass right out of the gate, realized that wasn't going to be effective. So I thought that was a huge help for us last night because we were able to see and able to get a little bit of a little bit of a preview next week of what we're going to have to do to stop Vernon's, wing T.
Well, the thing is that Vernon, what we saw in Bridgeport last night, Vernon runs a little bit better variation of the offense, but it's kind of on steroids. They do a lot of misdirection, a lot of crosses, they do a lot of deception. And the Steers I guess really where it's going to come down to is linebackers are really going to have to be on their toes, and some of those defensive backs are going to have to come up.
Yeah, well, ton of misdirection, and that's what they want you to do. They want you to force those safeties, corners to come up, and then, every 15 plays, they're going to run a play action, they're going to fake it, and they're going to have somebody going deep, and they're going to try to hit the home run. This is a much more dangerous offense than Bridgeport. So let's not get that confused, but if you can keep those safeties back and still stop the run and stop drives and, get the ball to your offense without, needing both safeties to be up in the box, then I think you're in good shape.
One thing I think the Steers coming out of that game last night came out relatively healthy. We didn't see anybody, games being stopped for any injuries or anything like that. So I think they came out pretty healthy. I think they got the goal they wanted in the non-district game, non-district season, undefeated, putting up a lot of points on the board, highly ranked in the state of Texas. Nobody gets hurt bad. I think they came out pretty good, and now getting ready for the second season.
Rod, I think that's really where you want to be. You want to be going into your district game, kind of surviving the war. It's a lot. It's kind of like a war in a sense that you've got your little battles that you face preseason-wise. They took care of those. You're able to stay healthy throughout the non-district. That kind of took care of that. You won that battle. Now it's, hey, let's take what we've gained. Let's take what we've learned. They haven't been perfect. They've been pretty close, but they haven't been perfect. And so let's build on that going into district, because this is where you're going to need to, this isn't the time to try out new things. This isn't the time to, say, well, we've got this team beat, because Vernon is not Mineral Wells. They're not Bridgeport. They're not Springtown, things like that. So now's the time to take all that you've learned in the off season, all that you've learned in 7-on-7 in the non-district, and put it all to use.
I know anytime I mention this, everybody always starts in going, well, that doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're ranked number 4 in the state of Texas, according to the Associated Press. That has to be in the back of any team you go up against, letting them know that you're highly ranked, that there's a reason why you're highly ranked in the state of Texas.
And you have to embrace that. We hear Coach Davidson, he doesn't really talk about rankings, but he does say stuff like, this team has a target on its back. And we know where that comes from. We know that's because, you're trying to hide an elephant in the room is a lot, is a lot harder than just saying, hey, look, there's an elephant in the room, and just accepting the fact that, you're highly ranked, and I think the Steers do that, and they just say, listen, that doesn't matter. The ranking doesn't play the ball games for you. You have to go out and beat teams. These teams are good, and you have to go out and play them. And I think they've done a good job of managing that with the kids as far as making sure the kids know what's at stake, what to focus on. Rankings are not something to focus on, but that being said, there is a target on your back. Teams are coming for you.
Travis, when you were on the team that went to state in basketball, and you went into another gym, I know like the game you guys had against Gainesville, that by-district game.
Yeah.
You could tell in that game that Gainesville was scared. You could tell they were scared. They did not play their best game. Does getting being a team like Graham right now, with as many points as they're scoring, as many points as they are not allowing, does it ever mess with the head of another team?
It'd be hard to say. I didn't go after the game and be like, hey, did our rankings make y'all scared of us? But, you feel like it's a confidence thing. I think we went, as far as this is about a decade ago, so but we went into every game with a ton of confidence. We believed in what we were doing and what we were capable of doing, and we just went out and played the game and had fun. And that's just keeping your perspective on why you're out there in the first place. And I think if any team does that, then they're going to have their best performance. Just go out and have fun, and just if you're loose and you're playing free and you know what you're doing, then good things are going to happen to you.
All right, we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back. We got your statewide scores, let you know what's going on there. And then Joe and Travis are going to talk a little college football, and then we've got some pro stuff to talk about. Reasons why the Cowboys will lose, but reasons why they'll win.
Hey, we may even get into some Lady Blues volleyball.
And some Lady Blues.
For a little bit.
Yeah,
so
that'd be cool.
That'd be good to talk about.
So we'll talk about that. That's all coming up here on Offsides. Stay tuned.
It's times like, now that we need to hold on to our vehicles as long as we can. And the Oil Pit has been helping you keep your car or truck for years. Literally. The Hughes family has been working hard to keep your family on the road and safe with oil changes, transmission fluids, and fluid level and tire pressure checks. And that family tradition Tom Hughes started years ago. Stop by the Oil Pit on 4th and Graham or call 940-549-5136.
At Jake Womack Construction, Cornerstone Pools, the goal is to not only help you design and build your dream home, but to make the process easy and enjoyable for you. They're a full-service design-build company with a wide range of experience. Jake Womack can help you with all phases of new home construction or remodeling, procuring suitable land, architecture and design, building your home and landscaping your yard. Call 940-549-9944. Jake Womack Construction, helping you build your dreams.
You're listening to Offsides with Rick, Joe, and Travis on Q 94.7.
All right, back to Offsides here on your Lake Country Leader, Q 94.7. Some of your statewide scores from last night. Again, Graham wins 55-0 over the Bridgeport Bulls. In a pretty big game, I guess, Argyle, someone Steers could see in the playoffs, took care of business last night against Dallas Madison, 66-7.
That game, Argyle, let's see, last week when we were in Springtown, there was a gentleman whose son, I guess, played for Wiley, and commented at how it was either son or nephew or somebody was commenting at how both Graham and Argyle were great teams that they played against, but they said playing Argyle was like playing grown men. He said it was just unbelievable how big those guys were, how fast and how much they hit. That Argyle team, I think, is for a 3A team, they're pretty solid.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about them, but Argyle's always had a good program. I mean, they always have. Burke Burnett last night come up with a win over Crum, 38-14. We want to see Burke Burnett doing well.
Yeah, that's always good. I don't think we're going to have any issues with them, but just from a small school, big school standpoint, just to keep everybody reminded, we want them to do good.
We want Burke Burnett and Hershey to win. Everybody, we want them to win. Carthage last night with a 44-7 win over Rusk after Carthage lost last week. The game that pretty big game last night. You had Coach Bates at Gainesville going back to his old stomping grounds in Vernon, and the Leopards come out with a 27-18 win last night over Vernon, just in time for the Steers to show up next week. That'll be pretty cool. Now, I will tell you this: as far as statewide scores go, there was a lot of colleges. We're looking at college football over here. A lot of high school teams that were off last night because a lot of them start district, so their open date was pretty much between their non-district time and open up a district play.
Which is not a bad little.
Well, if you got 6 teams in your district, you can do that.
Right.
But like with Graham, they only got 5 teams. You can't. It's hard to do that. So, so we don't have a whole lot of statewide scores around the area because a lot of people are off last night. By the way, in Class 2A, Bowie beat up on Ponder last night, 35-24. This one looked to me like a nail biter deluxe. It was Clyde 7. Breckenridge 6.
Wow.
In that game as district game number 2. And, Breckenridge last week lost a close one to Comanche and then another heartbreaker here to Clyde, 7-6. So the Bucks are 0-2, but they could have easily been 2-0. The way these scores went. This game was kind of like the Oklahoma-North Texas game. At halftime, it was 21-20. And then end up being 63-34, Eastland over Jim Ned in that one.
Oh, poor Jim.
Well, our buddy Jeff Williamson is out at Jim Ned, athletic director, and he former coach of Graham and was here when they went to the state championship. Jacksboro, Coach Hyde took his boys to Archer City last night and beat the Wildcats 20-14. So congratulations, Coach Hyde, in that one. Albany last night in our listening area. Albany last night heads off to Gorman and, just squeaked by Gorman. Albany ranked in the top 20 and come out with a 74-0 win.
Boy, that is a squeaker.
Yeah, that one was in the, that one was being, who knew who was going to come out on that one. Now, this is probably the game of the area last night. We had number 2 Newcastle going up against number 4 Strawn.
Boy, that is, really 2 good teams going at it there, and you've got some rivalry there because they're relatively close. Tell us what the score was, Rick.
Well, what blows me away, Newcastle has played 4 of their 5 games against highly ranked teams, and they've won 3 of them. But last night, Strawn come up with a 74-54 win over the Newcastle Bobcats, and that was a pretty big one.
Yeah, but we got to keep in mind that most of these ranked teams that they're playing are also Division 1.
Right.
And so, I mean,
they beat 3 of them. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
3 highly ranked Division 1 teams. We should not, and I mean, Strawn is a highly ranked Division 1 team as well. And being a Division 2 team, I don't think there's a lot of people that want to see the Newcastle Bobcats right now. I mean, they are playing fantastic football, and they're in games with everybody. That'd be like, that'd be like us playing, Carthage, Stephenville, and, Gilmer, and, throughout our schedule. It's a gauntlet. So kudos to the Bobcats. Tough loss, but you're playing good football. Keep it up.
Well, if you can score 54 points on a team like Strawn, you got it going. And when they hit district play that Newcastle's got to be one of the favorites in that district. I mean, it's going to be cool to see how they do.
I don't think there's any question. I think they'll roll through district no problem now. They do have some tough teams in there, but
still, I mean, they're looking really good right now. And a game that took place on Thursday night, Wichita Falls Hershey against Carrollton Ranch View. It was 33-32 in that one. Now today, Iowa Park will be taking on River Road because their stadium is still not ready, and so they're going to be playing today in Wichita Falls. They're home away from home, and we don't have to fool with it. I don't know if Iowa Park is going to have their stadium ready at all for this year.
As long as they have that press box changed, because
they did.
They did?
They knocked down both press boxes and changed them both out. And it's a good thing, too, because, I mean, seriously, last year I thought we were going to have to get a parachute, and we went up there just in case.
Right. Yeah. Going up a flight of stairs. I mean, not to get all crazy on you, but going up a rickety flight of stairs without a handrail,
carrying a bunch of stuff,
yeah,
and having to carry Travis.
Is that why you guys wanted me to carry all that stuff up?
Kind of.
Oh,
Okay.
Hey, I'm just glad you got me plugged in today, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was. I can't believe that you found us out last night about.
I always wondered why when I tried to come to you guys, it never went through.
Yeah, I know it's good. And how was the sneaky thing about plugging it in while we were not watching? I don't know what happened there because we're sitting there talking. All of a sudden, you pop on, and we're like, "Okay, what happened? Who plugged him in?"
Get back down there, boy.
That's right. You could be doing that. All right, we're going to hear from our some more of our sponsors here. We're going to come back. We got some college football talk coming up, and we'll let Travis and Joe do a little college football talk, and then we're going to talk about 5 reasons the Cowboys win, 5 reasons the Cowboys lose. So stick around here on Offsides.
Bring the excitement of the game right into your home with Razor Sharp Photography. Brian Ray at Razor Sharp Photography covers all of Grand sports, including high school and junior high football, volleyball, tennis, basketball, baseball, Little League, and every other special event. Log on bray.smugmug.com for all that Razor Sharp Photography has to offer. That's bray.smugmug.com. Remember, if it's not Razor Sharp, it's not Grand Sports. Razor Sharp Photography.
Maximize your greatest investment with the best insulation and roofing products available. Texoma Foam Insulation Services offers these benefits of ThermoSeal insulation. Reduce your energy bills. Enjoy cleaner and healthier indoor air. Improve your home's value and enjoy consistent temperatures. To discover more from ThermoSeal Insulation of the Future, call Texoma Foam Insulation Services today at 940-549-3626 or visit their website at texomafoam.com.
It's times like, well, now that we need to hold on to our vehicles as long as we can. And the Oil Pit has been helping you keep your car or truck for years. Literally. The Hughes family has been working hard to keep your family on the road and safe with oil changes, transmission fluids, and fluid level and tire pressure checks. And that family tradition Tom Hughes started years ago. Stop by the Oil Pit on 4th in Graham or call 940-549-5136.
It's Offsides with Joe, Travis, and Rick on Q94.7.
All right, welcome back to Offsides here on your Lincoln Leader, Q94.7. All right, it's 9:33 in the morning. As Joe, please have a little dignity. Okay?
I told him to do that.
Well, that's not.
Well, I'm kind of the boss around here. So
well, evidently.
Yes, it is, Rick.
Evidently. But no, keep that over there, okay? All right, we're going to talk a little college football as a few games on the schedule that need to be talked about. So, boys, have at it.
Okay, well, let's before we start talking about today, let's mention that, man, those Longhorns sure stole one the other night, didn't they? Didn't they, Joe?
Well, I'll tell you, everyone kind of went into that game saying, hey, Mac's got to win out or Mac's got to have a really, really good showing to keep his job.
That ain't going to happen.
Well, and we all know the loss is going to come next week against the Sooners. That's kind of a foregone conclusion. Stranger things can happen. But I'll tell you, that game Thursday night, I would almost say that you had to come out and really beat Iowa State to say – hey, we're not going away here or whatever. To squeak out of that game with how many was it? A 1-point win?
It was a 1-point win that really should have been an Iowa State win.
Exactly. To squeak out of that game,
got messed up by the refs. You should hear the spill by the Iowa State coach. Man, it was awesome.
He was close to admitting that he was a man and he was 40, and I know that's really been overplayed, but. I'll tell you that I almost think a 1-point win like that. You might as well have just lost in the eyes of all the people that you're trying to convince that you need to stay around.
Yeah, man. That defense will just not help them out at all.
No.
I don't know the last time I saw a worse Texas defense, and it is just so bad. I think
you probably saw one a couple weeks prior to that.
Our boy Case McCoy, Graham kid, he did some good things, but all in all. Just squeaked by in that one. So,
well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We're going to talk here in a little bit about the Cowboys going up against the Broncos on Sunday. And I think that's going to be a little bit – we could kind of do a little bit of parallels about the Longhorns going up against the Sooners coming up in the Cotton Bowl next week as well.
Yeah, we can get into that a little bit.
That's called the tease, boys and girls.
That is called the tease. From a pro teaser himself, Joe Schweighofer.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the other games that we've got coming up today. Right out of the gate, you've got a couple of unbeatens going up. Maryland, number 25, visiting Florida State, number 8. Quarterback James Winston wanted to be a Texas player. For some reason, they passed on him, and I think
they turn away all good quarterbacks.
Typically,
you don't know. Manziel, Griffin, they turn them all away.
It's typically a good way to handle things. But those guys are kicking off at 11. I look for Florida State. I mean, they're just lighting it up this year. I don't look for them to have any problems against Maryland. Another 11 a.m. game, a little bit local ties. You've got the guns up, Texas Tech, Red Raiders going into Kansas. That'd be a little bit of a chilly game out there because that cold front has already come through our neck of the woods, and it's been up through Kansas for a little bit. So that ought to be a chilly kickoff. You've got Georgia State.
There's going to be chilly?
There possibly will be chilly.
I'll be there.
Boy, you know how good chilly would be right now? Okay. Alabama taking on Georgia State today. Alabama is at home. Really don't look – I mean, anytime you're a 4-0 Alabama and you've got an 0-4 Georgia State coming in, again, okay, well, that's going to be a win. We'll just go ahead and pencil that one in. Kind of battle of the up north. You've got Minnesota going into Michigan today. 4-1 Minnesota going to Michigan, going into the Big House. Don't look for there to be any issues there. Some more local, kind of quasi-local games. 2:30 kick. You've got K-State going into OSU. Again, Oklahoma State had some difficulties last week. I look for them to kind of turn it around against K-State, although that could be a close game as well.
Sure, absolutely. It's hard to tell with these Big 12 teams. I mean, I feel like this is a conference that's very close. It's not nowhere near its height as far as the level of competition, but all teams seem to be able to match up with one another. No better example than the Texas-Iowa State game. So we'll see how that turns out.
Big battle in the ACC today as well. You've got Georgia Tech visiting the U. Miami's just kind of, I don't want to say they've been a quiet team this year, but really have kind of flown under the radar. They're coming in, they're playing this game 4-0 with a number 14 ranking. Of course, they're playing at the U today. So, good ACC matchup there. Look for that to be quasi high scoring.
Can I give an upset alert?
Please do.
TCU over Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, that's, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get to, I guess, yeah.
Do you have an upset alert for us?
I don't really have an upset alert. I'd like to see Arkansas go and beat Florida. I think that'd be good. Although I don't know how much of an upset that is. I mean, Arkansas is unranked going into the swamp. Florida's number 18. I'm going to go ahead and pick Arkansas on that one as maybe a little bit of an upset alert.
Okay.
I've got some family up there. Going to be visiting them in a few weeks for a wedding. So I'm going to, and in honor of Mr. Garrett Pettis, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Hogs against the Gators on this one.
Okay.
But talk about that TCU-Oklahoma game. TCU is going into Norman tonight. Not tonight. It's the 6 o'clock kick. Oklahoma's coming off that Notre Dame win on the road last week. Mm-hmm. Obviously TCU, I think, was the iron skillet last week going up against SMU. So TCU is going to be facing a much different team than SMU last week in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is undefeated, number 11 in the country. Again, kind of throw the rankings out the window. TCU went in and, gave them the shocker a couple of years ago. So you're thinking Oklahoma maybe falls to the Horned Frogs.
Well, no doubt about it. Oklahoma's a good team, and I'm not trying to discredit them. I just think if I have to, if I absolutely have to pick an upset today, it's going to be one of the Big 12 games. It's either going to be West Virginia at Baylor or TCU at Oklahoma, and I just believe that TCU has a better chance of beating Oklahoma than West Virginia does of beating Baylor.
To keep sanity in the office, because I know my good friend Ann is listening right now, I'm going to say that West Virginia over Baylor is going to be the upset because I believe Oklahoma is going to roll.
Remember that game last year? I think it was like It was like 90-74 or something. It was just crazy.
Oh,
the
that Baylor-West Virginia
yeah.
game was unbelievable last year. Yeah, they were slinging around like nobody's business.
I really don't think a defensive player ever stepped on the field.
No. I think it was just they're going to bypass the defense. We're just going to go offense.
I think they let
time.
the junior high kids get out there and play defense so they could have a little fun, and it was kind of a charity deal.
Well, so you're picking TCU. I'm picking Oklahoma. Boomer Sooner, and if you're listening, I know you are. Kind of a big game tonight. I don't know. AT&T, Jerry World, Death Star. You've got Arizona State going up against Notre Dame. That ought to be, something to watch on TV while you're waiting for what, in my opinion, will be kind of a good game to watch. I think this is going to be a late one. If you don't feel like watching SNL later, you can probably tune over to Washington at Stanford, number 15 going up against number 5. You've got two 4-0 teams playing tonight. So
awesome.
I think Washington is trying to turn their program around, and Stanford ranked number 5, although kind of you will have to wonder with Stanford, who have they played. One of the things I want to talk about as well, I'm not a huge fan of Texas. I think Mac Brown, I'm not a huge fan of his. Well, a team that I hate more than Texas is really they're kind of in flux right now, and that's USC. Good gosh, when you have, and thanks, Ann. Thanks for listening to us this morning, and I agree.
I call them like I see them, man.
When you've got a team, when you got a coach that gets fired directly after the game, Lane Kiffin, and listen, Lane's not the greatest guy in the world either.
No, he's a scumbag.
He's a scumbag. I get that, but so great to see USC just in turmoil right now. I hate USC. I've never liked them. They've always been overrated, in my opinion. For years and years, they were kind of they were the bell cow of the Pac-12, and so I don't know if it's the writers out there that are always getting California loving, but I'm so glad to see their team in turmoil right now.
Yeah, and I don't think that same thing will happen to Mac Brown. He's he means a lot more to the Texas program as as far as legacy goes comparatively to Lane Kiffin.
Oh, sure.
USC.
I don't like the way Mac Brown handles the media, for example. I've never liked him since the whole Chris Sims issue. Yeah. But just from a class standpoint, from what you read and what you hear out there, Mac's a top-notch guy. Mac's a classy guy. I don't by any means look to see Texas do. I don't think they're going to Kiffin him. Can we coin that term?
Yeah,
Kiffin
absolutely.
him?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to Kiffin him by any means. I think this is probably his swan song with Lost Odds leaving at the end of 14. This will probably be Mac's last year. Maybe give him some kind of role in the program just for recruiting or what have you.
Yeah, and I think he's earned that much. I do not dislike Texas, and I don't dislike Oklahoma. Well, I kind of do, but nonetheless, I don't dislike Texas. I don't wish the worst for them. I just think it is time for, and like a lot of Texas fans believe that it's kind of time for Mac to step aside after this season. I think most people kind of want him. I mean, if Mac Brown leaves today, how is that going to help the defense? Let's be honest. It's not. So there's really no upside to getting rid of him in the middle of the season. Lane Kiffin, I think, is a problem just as a person, and what he did to Tennessee, I think, kind of came back on him.
Well, what's really good, too, is that the folks over down there at Texas, that they're probably looking at saying, with maybe Mac leaving, let's just go ahead and kind of wipe the slate, bring somebody in that's really going to help us. You really feel confident that they're not going to look at a guy like Lane. They're going to want to bring somebody in that they know that they can build with and, have success for years and many, many years to come.
Absolutely, and they've got a lot of options. Being one of the richest schools in Texas, they kind of have their pick of the litter. So we'll see how all that plays out. That's college football for you. When we come back, what will it take for the Cowboys to win, and what will the Cowboys have to do to lose this game?
If creating the perfect outdoor retreat is in your future, then Cornerstone Pools is where you will find design ideas that become reality for your custom gunite pool and spa and outdoor kitchen and living areas, helping you create family fun and memories that last a lifetime. Honesty, integrity, dependability, the cornerstone of everything they do. Call 940-549-9944. Jake Womack Construction Cornerstone Pools, helping you build your dreams.
It's factory authorized clearance month at D&J's Polaris. Now's your chance to save up to $1,000 and receive 2.99% financing through September 30th. Save on Polaris Ranger, the absolute best side-by-side utility vehicles in the industry, or the Polaris Sportsman ATV. It's all waiting for you at D&J's Polaris, Southview with Elm and Graham. Now with up to $1,000 savings and financing as low as 2.99. ATVs and side-by-side vehicles can be hazardous to operate. Polaris adult models for ages 16 and over. Always wear a helmet and be sure to take a training course. Polaris ATVs and side-by-side vehicles are not intended for on-road use. Financing with approved credit.
Now, back to Offsides with Travis, Rick, and Joe on Q94.7.
All right, back to Offsides. Talking a little pro football now. Dallas Cowboys style. The roller coaster.
Yes.
It is known as the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
Has continued. The last 3 years, got that 8-8 junk going on. Cowboys are looking again.
Well, you know what?
8-8 right in the teeth.
The most inconsistent team in football. On, some Sundays they look like world beaters. On other Sundays they look like the worst team in the NFL and play like it. And so it's hard to know what to make of the Cowboys. Do you look? I mean, if you're trying to predict a game, do you look for something consistent in their, in their season up to this point, or do you just rely on inconsistency to fuel your predictions? Got a tough one coming up. They're going to be facing the Denver Broncos. They will be at home, which, we'll get into that later. But so what to make of this game against, a team that's literally playing like the greatest team that's ever stepped on a football field in the Denver Broncos? Something
that I've been hearing all week long, and I don't know, I didn't bring this up all ago, I should have. In the media, all I have heard is Peyton Manning is coming to Dallas. Mm-hmm. Dallas, the Cowboys are going to have to play Peyton Manning. I mean, yeah, he is a super quarterback, probably one of the best.
One of the greatest of all time.
One of the greatest of all time. But it makes it sound like when he's coming in, it's like he's going to be taking the field against Cowboys by himself. And you wonder, what's up with all that stuff like that?
And, that's how the media does. They like to put the attention on one player. It's typically the quarterback. But, let's face it, this Broncos team is good all around. Of course, they've got the trio of wide receivers in Decker, Thomas, and Welker that have just been setting the league on fire. And, of course, Peyton Manning's one of the greatest. They got a strong defense. But let's, Rick, we've got a win-loss column, and the win column is what will it take for the Cowboys to win. The loss column is what will be the reasons for a Cowboy loss. Rick, what should we start with, the win or loss column?
Let's start with the bad news.
Okay, the loss column.
The loss column. Why would the Cowboys
first point
lose?
In the loss column is that the Cowboys stink.
Well, they're not. Yeah, when you say Cowboys stink, they stink at the most inopportune moment.
Sure.
That's the thing that bothers me.
Well, you go into a game against the Chargers that we know is probably going to be a close, but we also know that it's a game that you can win. I mean, it's a game. The close ones that you can win are the ones that you should win, like Joe said. And they go in there, they lose by 10. And just really don't get a lot of help from the linebackers. Really disappointed me in that game. And the offense was, we were pass happy. We ran the ball well when we ran the ball, but I think we only ran it about 15 times.
Didn't run it enough.
So
if the Cowboys were a superhero, they'd be Aquaman.
Okay, now let's exactly. That's a good point. Okay, let's look at the win column. Okay, and this is. I think this is a big one. History tells us that the Cowboys tend to play well in, non-important games versus good teams. What I mean by that is
big hype games, but not important.
Non-divisional games, kind of in the middle of the season against a team that, rolls into town and should beat them. So
they play well in largely hyped games by – because NFL is really playing this game up.
Sure.
I mean, they're making this game, and the game was the Colts-Seattle. They're making that a huge game. You got these two young gun quarterbacks, blah, 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 and then on the other side, you got the two old guys on the other side.
Yeah.
They're making a big deal about these two games. But the Cowboys do tend to play well in largely hyped games.
Sure.
That don't mean anything.
And so there's our first point as far as, why the Cowboys won. Now let's go back to the loss column. All right, and Joe made this point, and I made the same point toward the other side. So let's just look at both of these. Joe mentioned that the Cowboys will lose because the obvious is Peyton Manning, and that he is playing like. He is heading for the greatest season that a quarterback has ever had. He is on that trajectory, which is incredible to watch, incredible to get to see. Talk about what he's been doing right now.
I know, and the thing is that Peyton Manning, right now, if you were going to build a football team and you said, okay, you get a first choice at getting a quarterback, who would you take? Peyton Manning would be the guy I would think I would grab right now because he's playing lights out.
Boy, I tell you, there was a little, I don't know if it was in the paper or just some teaser that I saw, but it kind of angered me a little bit. And I don't know if he did it because of money or whatever, but a couple years ago, Peyton Manning's coming off that neck surgery. Indianapolis obviously had to let him go because of the unsure of, hey, how's that neck going to hold up? I think he was going to be a huge cap hit as well. So it kind of makes sense from Indianapolis to let him go. So you knew he was going to be out there on the market. You knew that there was probably a select few amount of teams that were going to be able to go after him. You weren't going to see a Jacksonville or a St. Louis or Jets or anybody like that go after him. But I saw a report the other day where it said, Jerry said, hey, we didn't need to go after Peyton because we had Romo. And to me, in this whole win-now league that we've got, nobody knew what Peyton was going to be like. And although Peyton said he was good, he's got a great football mind, probably one of the best ones out there from a coach on the field standpoint. Why do you not at least a couple years ago take a shot at saying to him, hey, why don't you come be quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, Joe, I'll tell you, and that's a little thing called the salary cap. And, look at Peyton Manning in his prime with the Colts, especially when Bob Sanders wasn't on the field. The year that Bob Sanders was on the field, they won a Super Bowl. You cannot win with one player alone, even if it's Peyton Manning and he's that good. If you take that big of a hit, even if you release Romo, you're taking a huge hit on the salary cap, and then you've got to sign Peyton Manning, which is another huge hit on the salary cap. That hurts your team all the way down the lineup, and you just can't afford to do it. So it wasn't that Jerry Jones was saying, hey, Romo's as good as Peyton Manning or Romo's comparable. He's saying that I can't afford to pay Romo and Peyton Manning at the same time and still have a team. And
the Redskins are a prime example of that. They go out and they sign all these big-name free agents. They take these huge cap hits, and Washington's been irrelevant forever.
Yeah.
Because they go after the big splash names.
They make poor decisions. They load up their salary cap, and then they underperform.
But I see what Joe's point in the deal. Why not? You have to give it a look. You have to at least give it a look, but reality sets in, and you're like, you can't do that.
I understand the cap hit issue with Peyton coming in, but we've heard for so long that Dallas is the premier franchise in the NFL. They're one of the highest ranked valued sports teams out there. There's a lot of prestige out there to say, hey, people are going to want to come play for the Cowboys. At least make the pitch to say, you know what, we've got Romo. We're going to take a huge cap hit. Yeah, we can't pay you all the money that you're going to want. But why not come, and again, 2 years ago, before he was blowing it out like he's doing now, go in there and say, come back, make your comeback team be the Cowboys, one of the storied franchises in the NFL. We'll let you run your offense the way you want to run it, because apparently Garrett can't run it, and we're going to let you play in one of the best stadiums, bar none, in the world, to come back and show us what you've got and show us how you're going to come back from this injury.
Well, I guess it is what it is.
You can't afford to. I don't know how else
you can't
to say
afford it. You just can't afford it.
I really don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
It's not like you could trade Romo. He was Manning was a free agent. He was let go by his other team. You just can't afford it. You have to. You would have to get rid of DeMarcus Ware. You'd have to get rid of your entire defense and play rookies across the board.
See, the problem, it'd be the same thing as me wanting to buy a really nice car. I just can't afford it. So
all right.
Let's keep on rolling.
All right. So the opposite end of the spectrum is Peyton Manning. And that's in the win column this time. And that's saying that the last couple times that Peyton Manning has come to Dallas, played against the Cowboys, he has not played that well. And for whatever reason, maybe the Cowboys have his number a little bit.
Well, what was it? I can't remember. Was it the 07 season, 08 season? whenever Dallas went into Indianapolis and beat the Colts when they were undefeated, and then come back the next year, do the same thing to the Saints. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. With big hype games, stuff like that. But yeah, there is a little bit of a history there with Cowboys and Peyton Manning.
The last time these teams the last time Peyton Manning played the Cowboys, he came to Dallas, and I think Sean Lee picked off 2 balls. I think Manning threw 3 or 4. He threw 4 interceptions. And so it was not a good day for Manning. Of course, he's on a different team now. Got a different group of wide receivers who probably understand what he's trying to do a lot better. But nonetheless, does not have a great track record against the Cowboys. So, you got Peyton Manning on the why the Cowboys will lose side, Peyton Manning on why the Cowboys will win side. Right. Let's get back to the losses. The Cowboys' defense is hurt right now. You got defensive linemen out. We talked about Mo Claiborne being out, which I think is a good thing for the Cowboys, as bad as he would play against the Chargers.
What happened to him?
He's just lost his confidence, and here's the thing is that trade. The trade to move up in the draft to pick him up looks really bad now that you're running the Tampa 2, because that does not cater to his style, and you spend all of that as far as picks and stuff on a cornerback that was widely thought of as the best defensive player in that draft. And,
exactly.
But you take him out of a scheme that really fits, what he does best, and it's showing. It's just it hasn't been a good year for Morris Claiborne.
Well, the way the defense is playing right now, you're very thin at defensive line. Anybody else goes down, we got problems.
George Selvey got hurt, and he's a guy that we thought, oh no, who is this Selvey guy? But he's played really well for the Cowboys. But he gets hurt, and I don't even know the guy's name who's backing him up, because he's a third string.
Right. And the thing is that Selvey is supposed to play tomorrow, but he has these concussion problems. So you don't know how long he's going to go, if he can go.
Well, we'll see how it goes. The win side, it is a home game. The Cowboys are 2-2 right now, 2 wins at home, 2 losses on the road. So, for whatever reason, in the past, in the past couple of years,
there wasn't home field advantage.
There wasn't really a home field advantage this year. For whatever reason, I don't know if that's just not really a trend, just kind of a fluke deal, or is it in fact a trend that they feel good at home playing in their place. We'll have to see if that helps them play a little better. On the loss column, mistakes, and that's something that we've seen, especially when you got young guys on the field. Miles Austin's hurt, which puts Terrence Williams, who's made 2 critical mistakes. The first one didn't cost the Cowboys the game against the Giants, but it was Tony Romo's only interception of the season. Of course, we saw the second major mistake last week against the Chargers, where the Cowboys are trying to rally back in the final minutes, and he fumbles the ball on the goal line. And we've seen a lot of mistakes from this team so far. I will say that we've seen fewer mistakes along the offensive line, which is a
very
huge
good
plus, all things considered. If you think back to last season,
does it seem like to you? And I don't know, maybe it is to me, but it seems like the Cowboy mistakes are extremely highlighted because they always come at the most inopportune moment.
Sure, it makes me think back to the loss to New Orleans on Thanksgiving Day. Roy Williams catches a pass. He is off to the races. All he has to do is hold on to the ball as he gets tackled, and sure enough, he fumbles the ball. And then, of course, there was the, last year against the Saints where Jimmy Graham fumbles the ball, and we just can't get on it on the goal line to save the season, basically. I think that was week 14 or 15 on the schedule. That was the game before we played Washington in the final game of the season. And it's just disappointing things happen at disappointing times.
All right, we're going to keep moving on. We're running out of time.
Okay, all right. Coaching.
Coaching.
In the loss column. I think the offense has been called poorly, especially in the Chargers game. I thought in the Rams it was fantastic because we ran the ball well, and we stuck to it. In the Chargers game, we ran the ball well, and we got away from it. We started trying to put the ball in the air all over the field just because we were down 7, and that just increased our deficit even more. On the win side law of averages, can the Denver Broncos keep up this level of play?
Right. Eventually, they're going to lose.
Eventually, unless they are, in fact, the greatest team of all time, the law of averages says that they will have a down game, and could it be this one? We don't know. The last and final point, this will be in the win column, is that Denver is just a hurt team.
Yeah, they got a lot of people on defense hurt badly.
Sure, the defense is hurt bad. They've got a tackle that's hurt. That could be good for this, this defensive line of the Cowboys that's struggling. So,
well, I feel like if the Cowboys get away from the run tomorrow, Dez Bryant's going to have a huge day.
And he might. And, he had a huge game against the Chargers. And what did it lead to?
Right. So we'll see what happens.
Loss. So,
all right, another one in the books, boys. I'll put this in the can, send it to the Radio Hall of Fame. So,
I think this was probably our Marconi-nominated broadcast.
I'm thinking so, yeah. Me and Travis didn't fight one time that's that's pretty incredible. All right, well, thank you for tuning in to Offsides. We've got more coming up here on Q94.7. Stick around, don't you go away.
You've just experienced Offsides with Q 94.7. Brought to you by Texoma Foam Insulation, Womack Construction, D&J's Polaris, and the Oil Pit. Sponsors are not held liable for mental anguish, skin conditions, or any other adverse reactions. We now return to your regular programming.